All right, Code Ninja Security Advisory initiated. Let's just dive right into this, guys. I'm operating as your senior white hat security researcher today, and this explainer, it's a flash intelligence brief on a literal critical segmentation failure. We're looking at CVE-2026-7473. That's a vulnerability in Arista Networks EOS that is unfortunately actively being exploited in the wild right now. My objective here is super simple, to give you the rapid, actionable intelligence you need to lock down your environment and, frankly, to force a vendor patch across the entire ecosystem. Listen, this isn't a drill. This is a very real, active threat to enterprise network perimeters.
So the CVSS severity score calculated by NIST sits at an 8.2. But hey, let me be perfectly clear here. Do not let the lack of a 9 or a 10 lull you into a false sense of security. It's an 8.2 because it doesn't give you immediate root code execution right on the switch itself. But it grants something arguably just as dangerous. We're talking about an actively exploited breach in your perimeter. The attack vector is completely remote over the network, and the complexity to pull it off? It's low. Threat actors don't need any special conditions. They are already using this to bypass assumed security boundaries today.
Okay, let's look at the tactical specs so we know exactly what we're dealing with. The target here is the Arista Networks Extensible Operating System, or EOS. The root cause is categorized as CVE-2023, which is an incomplete comparison with missing factors. In hardware terms, it basically means the system is looking at one piece of data but completely ignoring another absolutely critical piece before it decides where to forward traffic. The impact of this oversight is a total network segmentation bypass. And the status, well, it's already listed on the CISA-KEV, the Known Exploited Vulnerabilities Catalog. So yeah, threat actors are actively leveraging this specific tactic.
Let's walk through the timeline real quick because this builds into an incredibly urgent operational requirement. On day 0, which was June 5, 2026, the vulnerability was officially published to the National Vulnerability Database, right alongside Arista's vendor advisory. Literally just one day later, high-severity threat analysis was hitting the wires. By day 4, June 9th, CISA officially confirmed that this flaw was seeing active exploitation and slapped it onto the KV catalog. And that triggers day 18, which is June 23, 2026. That is the hard remediation deadline set by CISA. Whether you operate under federal mandates or you're just following solid enterprise best practices, you have a very narrow window to get this patched or mitigated.
I'm going to pause this fast-paced technical briefing for just a second here to establish a secure communication link with you. We are about to dive deep into the exact blast radius and the mitigation playbook. So, are comms secure? I'm issuing a direct security directive to you right now. If you're an IT auditor, an incident responder, or a network architect, consider this an absolute security necessity. Subscribe to @cybertech79 and enable those notifications so you literally never miss these real-time intelligence drops. And while you're at it, drop a like on this explainer right now to formally acknowledge receipt of this intel. All right, comms link verified, let's pivot to the deep dive. Let's actually unpack the exact mechanism of this exploit. We're calling this a decapsulation bypass. It's a critical failure where an Arista EOS switch incorrectly decapsulates and forwards unexpected tunneled packets. Why does this happen? Well, basically, the switch's logic fails to verify the tunnel protocol type. So if an attacker crafts a packet and the destination IP matches the configured decapsulation IP on the switch, the EOS software just strips the outer header and forwards the inner payload, no questions asked. It completely ignores whether the encapsulating protocol was actually authorized or explicitly configured. As you can imagine, this completely destroys any assumed network isolation you thought you had. So who's in the blast radius? You're going to want to pay really close attention to this list. If you have the Arista 7020R series, the 7280R, R2, or R3 series, the 7500R series line, or the 7800R3 series sitting in your racks right now, you are potentially exposed. But listen, the hardware is only half the equation here. The vulnerability is actually triggered by specific configurations. If your interfaces utilize VXLAN, decap-groups, or GRE tunnels, you are vulnerable. Seriously, I need network administrators to log in right now via SSH, run a show-running config, and grep for decap-groups, tunnels, and VXLAN. If you see those stanzas present, you've got a critical exposure on your hands. And this really perfectly illustrates the business impact. Picture an ideal state. You rely on strict tunnel-based boundaries to isolate your highly sensitive zones. Think PCI cardholder data, HIPAA-regulated patient records, or operational technology systems. But in a compromised state, a bypass network, an attacker who gets a foothold literally anywhere in your environment can simply inject crafted packets. The EOS switch happily forwards them along, allowing the attacker to just breeze across those theoretically isolated segments. This grants them totally unauthorized lateral movement across your entire infrastructure. Your multi-million-dollar segmentation strategy? Poof! Bypassed by a single improperly verified protocol packet.
All right, enough theory. Now we're shifting our focus directly into actionable incident response, initiating immediate mitigation protocol.
You need to execute this 4-step playbook immediately. Step 1 is containment. You absolutely must restrict inbound unverified UDP port 4789 for VXLAN and GRE Protocol 47 traffic at your upstream firewalls, limited strictly to known, authorized sources only. Step 2, detection. Go pull your EOS syslogs and packet captures. You're looking for anomalous cross-segment forwarding, basically traffic arriving at decap IPs from hosts that have absolutely no business being there. Step 3 is eradication. Go to the Arista advisory portal, download the validated EOS patch, and apply it. If you can't patch today, execute a temporary config mitigation. Just remove all unused decap group and tunnel interface configurations. And finally, Step 4, recovery. Don't just blindly trust the patch, okay? Validate the enforcement using Python and Scapy to send crafted, mismatched tunnel packets and verify that the switch actually drops them. Then, monitor your forwarding tables rigorously for the next 72 hours to ensure zero attacker persistence remains.
Look, I know this is intense, but this is the reality of modern perimeter defense. We practice coordinated vulnerability disclosure for a very specific reason. As the ethos states, users need to know to protect their systems. We have to shine a spotlight on these critical flaws, to force the hand of vendors to issue fixes, and to arm you with the intelligence required to actually deploy those fixes before the adversary maps your network. Because at the end of the day, ignorance is not security, action is. I want to leave you with a final thought to chew on. Look at your architecture diagrams today and really ask yourself, is your perimeter truly isolated, or is it just waiting to be bypassed by a protocol technicality? Go verify your configs, patch your Arista EOS devices before that June 23rd deadline, and ensure your segmentation actually holds up. Stay secure.